The science of polling. It wasn't supposed to look like this.
Where almost all the voters were white. 8 New Hampshire polls taken after the Iowa caucuses all showed Obama beating Clinton by 7 points on the average. To keep them honest, we compared those polls with the actual vote. The big discrepancy was in the Clinton vote. She got 9 points more support than the polls predicted. Edwards' vote was close. Obama's vote was right on target. 37% in the polls, 37% in the primary. Obama got exactly what the polls predicted. No evidence of a racial effect. What the polls did not detect from the voters is whether they would vote for Hillary Clinton. A hidden Hillary vote. What brought it out? Concern about the economy, for one thing. That was the top issue for Democrats. Senator Clinton did well among voters who said their big concern was the economy, and among those who said they were falling behind financially. Another theory. Clinton's troubles prompted greater numbers of women to come out and support her. They were told over and over that if Senator Clinton suffered a big loss in New Hampshire, her campaign might be over. Did they really want to vote against the first woman with a serious chance of becoming president? There's a lot of speculation that late deciding women, especially older ones, came out for Clinton because of her show of emotion the day before the vote.
One idea that I'm seeing out there today is the idea that women voters saw the media playing those clips of Hillary's tears again and again and again in the last few days, and they didn't like it. And the women voters voted not just for Hillary, but against the media and what they were doing.
Polls do make mistakes, but it's rare that 8 polls all make the same mistake. And the polls did get the Republican race right. Something actually happened at the end of the New Hampshire race. The hidden Hillary vote came out of hiding. Bill Schneider, CNN, New York.
Well, as you just heard, Bill Schneider saw no apparent racial effect in Clinton's win over Obama yesterday or in the answers to the polls, but some did, insisting that the pollsters were lied to by people who said race wouldn't be a factor in how they voted when it really was. The theory is called the Bradley effect. It's happened to candidates in the past. Michael Eric Dyson, Georgetown University professor, joins us now. He's the author of Debating Race and an Obama supporter who believes it did play a part yesterday. CNN political analyst Amy Holmes says it did not. Both join me now. Michael, I want to start with you. You say that race was a factor in the surprise results in New Hampshire. How so?
Well, I'm saying that it was a potential factor here. I don't have any empirical evidence to substantiate my claim. I'm saying that not only the Bradley effect, so to speak, there are many factors here. The female vote was incredibly increased. The weather may have played a part. The late, assault upon Hillary Clinton and her response to it, her rebuttal through tears, were all critical factors. And I think that it would be silly to deny the legitimacy of a potential racial factor here, even though I think Barack Obama obviously has the ability to transcend those racial differences to unify the country in a very powerful way. So I'm saying it is likely, it is at least potentially real that race played a factor. I'm not suggesting that racial animus played any factor here.
Amy, your take.
Well, I think that there's a theory to suit every flavor here. If you think that women just like a good cry, then you'll think that those clips of Hillary tearing up might have made the difference if you like the theory of a damsel in distress. But, I think actually the least persuasive argument was that race played a part. To believe that, you'd have to believe that those women who put Hillary over the finishing line had some hidden racial animus more so than men who Obama was able to win in New Hampshire last night. A second thing, if those voters were lying to the pollsters going in, why would they then all of a sudden tell the truth in coming out and saying that they did vote for Hillary? If they had this shameful racial hidden secret, wouldn't we see like some bizarre discrepancy in the exit polling between people who said that they voted for Obama,
Amy,
but those final tallies?
The Pew Research Center, as you know, did an analysis of high-profile so-called biracial elections stretching back to the early 80s. They did find that until recently, white candidates often end up doing much better than polls suggested, while African-American candidates did about the same as polls suggested, which was exactly the scenario last night.
Yeah, and
yes,
I think...
Anderson's asked me the question, let me answer. Marist also just today did research into this and said to the example of, Dinkins versus Giuliani, what happened was that there was a late-breaking story of corruption, and the polling that they had done on Dinkins and corruption, it came out exactly that way. Anderson, I think the problem wasn't that there were too many polls. I think it was that there weren't enough, and you didn't have polling on that very day of the election of those late-breaking deciders to show you where they were headed.
Well, I think that aside from the hyperbole that Amy has engaged in and the
I don't know why you're calling that hyperbole.
Let Michael go ahead
I'm saying the hyperbole in this sense that there is empirical evidence, as you've already substantiated, Anderson, that there's been a pattern here. So it seems to me that you have to go out of your way to deny the legitimacy and the credibility of a common sense let me finish. A common sense understanding that race might be a variable. I find it interesting that you go out of your way to deny the legitimacy. The fact, all I'm saying is that race is one among many variables that could have potentially played an impact upon the outcome of this election. That's all I'm suggesting.
Yes, but you're also saying that you don't have any evidence of that. I haven't heard any reporters drag out any of these voters to say,
Amy, are you saying
yes,
that there's no way that race was a variable in this?
I'm not suggesting that there's no way, but I'm saying that the burden of that explanation is on the people who are proffering that theory. And I would say that there are many different theories to explain this discrepancy. That's one of them that could be possible.
Okay.
And Professor Dyson, if you're
that.
actually interested in the answer to this question, I would suggest that you study it with empirical evidence. You have those tools at your disposal.
Well, Michael, you said that some comments made by both Hillary and Bill Clinton recently about Obama are perhaps subtly injecting race into the election. Is that accurate? How so?
Hence, I think Amy's disingenuous comment about empirical verification when we know that implicit and tacit arguments about race abound, such as Bill Clinton suggesting be careful here because, we got to get this country back in control in the sense that we're playing dice with the country or that this is the greatest fairy tale. Amy should know, and if she doesn't, we would be happy to instruct her, that racial signification happens in many ways and that the Morse code of racial intent is in one sense communicated very powerfully. I think Bill Clinton and Hillary Clinton, whether intentionally or not, play into an existing body and sentiment and racial passion in this country that will be inflamed when you imply that a black man can't run the country.